All right. Hello, Intensified Algebra students. All right. A little bit different. This week, I'm doing a screen record on my computer, but hopefully you can see me on your screen as well. So we're going to go through an example where we're going to be writing a system of equations and then using elimination to solve for it. Okay. So this is going to be writing and solving. Hold on, I'm trying to move this. Um, solving solving. So using elimination, or your book likes to call it a linear combination. So here's our situation. All right, we have Sierra and Ashley sold tickets for the high school basketball tournament. Okay, cool. For the opening game of the tournament, the girls sold 20 student tickets and 30 non-student tickets and made $190. For the championship game, they sold 50 student tickets and 40 non-student tickets and made $300. Okay, what is the price of the student ticket? And what is the price of the non-student ticket? So right there, I'm going to underline those. Let me see if I can do a straight line. So I need to know student ticket and I need to know non-student ticket. So those guys are my two variables that I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that I write that. So we'll just say S, and that equals student ticket price. And I'll do another one, and that's going to be N equals non-student ticket price. Okay, so now we can break it down for our equations. Well, we have two equations we can come up with from this. The first is for just the regular game. And you're like, okay, the regular game, I know that I sold 20 student tickets and 30 non-student tickets and made 190. That's for the opening game. So I should go back and label this opening. So we'll do that. We'll put that right over there. Oop. I'll get rid of this guy. And we have the opening game. So if we're talking about the opening game, let's talk about how we associate that with variables. So the first thing I have is I have 20S. How did I get 20S? Well, I stole 20 student tickets. And then I had 30N. Well, that's non-student tickets, and that equals $190. So 30 non-student tickets, and I made 190. All right, my other equation comes from the championship game, and I can draw those, and I can say, okay, in the championship game we sold 50 student tickets and 40 non-student tickets and made $300. So I sold 50 student tickets. I add that to my 40 non-student tickets, and I made a total of 300. Okay, so those are my two equations, and I can go ahead and type those right here. I have 20S plus 30N, and that equals 190. And I also have 50S plus 40N, and that equals 300. So those are my equations. Okay, cool. Now let's use our elimination to go ahead and solve them. I'm also going to label this as my equations. Boom, right there. We can label all type of stuff here, variables. Up here are my variables. This is what I use to make my equations. And then I have my two equations. Cool, so I hope everyone is with me on that. Variables are up here. I got that from the question. Student ticket and non-student ticket. That's how I chose my variables. From there, I had to write some equations. Well, I had an equation for the opening game, 20 student tickets and 30 non-student tickets, and made 190. That's for the opening game. Then I have one for the championship game, which was 50 student tickets and 40 non-student tickets, and that made me 300 bucks. And then I just put those together to get my system of equations right down here. Now, when it comes to solving, this is one of those equations that actually works really well for elimination. But for elimination, I need my S's to match or be opposites, and I need my N's to match or be opposites. So right now, I'm going to change this S to match that S. So how do I change a 20S to go into a 50S? Well, 20 times 2.5 is 50. All right, so I know that 20 times 2.5 equals 50. I know that. Okay, that's just like a fact. I know that. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to multiply this top equation, the whole thing. I'm going to multiply this top equation by negative 2.5. I want to multiply it by a negative because that's a positive 50, and I'm going to cancel it out. So I didn't change the bottom equation, I just changed the top equation. So my top equation, well, negative 2.5 times 20 is negative 50s. 30 times negative 2.5 is negative 75n, and that equals, well, 90 times negative 2.5 is going to be, let me grab my calculator. I have one on my phone. That's nice. You can use your phone on these. Okay. I have 190 times negative 2.5, and that equals negative 475. So that's what the top equation becomes when I multiply this. And once again, I multiplied by that, and by that, because I am using the distributive property. The bottom equation, I did not change. So I can go ahead and retype that exactly how it was. 50s plus 40n equals 300. Okay. So there's my two new equations. These equations here became those equations there based off of the multiplication that I just did. Now here's where I use my elimination, because if I add these straight down, if I add them straight down, boom, 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 I'm going to add them straight down. So I would get 50s, negative 50s plus 50s, and that gives me 0. Those cancel. Then I get negative 75n plus 40n, which is negative 35n, and that equals, well, negative 475 My plus 300 is negative 175. Okay, divide that by negative 35. Divide that by negative 35. And my n equals, well, let's see. I have 175 or negative 175 divided by negative 35, and n equals 5. So I know the price of my non-student ticket is $5. Awesome. So now that I know the price of my non-student ticket, I got to find the price of my student ticket. So I'm going to go back to an original equation. My original equation said 20s plus 30n equals 190. I got that from the opening game. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take this 5 right here, and I'm going to go ahead and plug it in for n in this equation. So once I do that, I can solve for s. So then I would get the equation 20s plus 30 times 5 equals 190. Well, I know 30 times 5 is 150. So this becomes 20s plus 150 equals 190. All right. From there, I can go ahead and subtract my 150. Subtract my 150. And that would give me 20s equals 40. I go ahead and divide by 20. So dividing by 20, I can't really do that on this. So I'm going to go ahead and 40 divided by 20, I think we would all understand that s equals 2. So I'm going to do my draw, divide by 20, divide by 20, s equals 2. So to answer, finally, to go back and answer my final question, I can say s equals 2, so student tickets cost $2, and I have non-student tickets are $5. Perfect. So that is an example of how you use the elimination method and go full circle with everything. So we started by reading the problem and the question down here, how much is a student ticket and how much is a non-student ticket. That gave me my variables. So the question gives you your variables. Then I was able to use the situation. So the opening game, 20 and 30, that wrote this equation. Then I did a championship game, and that wrote this equation. If I put those together, I have my total equations right here. With the elimination video, or with the elimination method, we need to get them to be opposite. So this was plus 50. I needed this s to be negative 50. To get to negative 50, I multiplied everything on top by negative 2.5. Negative 2.5 times this, negative 2.5 times that, and negative 2.5 times that. And that gave me this equation right here. Please note I didn't change this bottom equation. All right, from there, I just added straight up and down. And I got this. Well, I can divide by negative 35 to get n by itself, and I found out that my non-student tickets are $5. Now, once I have my non-student tickets are $5, I can plug that into my original equation right here, the same equation I got up here. I can use that one. You could also use the other equation if you want. I just chose the first one I saw. I plugged that in. I did my math all the way down through here. Okay. and then I ended up getting S equals 2. So my student ticket is $2. And then finally, you have to summarize and put your equation right there into a final sort of statement. That's how these things work. Anyways, I hope this was super helpful. It's my first time using this type of platform, but I hope you guys find it helpful. Remember, you can pause and start and restart and do whatever you want with this video. Also, please make sure you are doing the check-ins on Wednesdays, doing the Go formulas for homework, and doing those weekly quizzes on sumner.agilemind.com. All right. Miss you guys a ton. I hope you guys are all doing well. Well, I will have Zoom hours on Friday. Bye.